Alright, hi Chris Freeman. This is weird. I spent all this time getting into this professional looking room, and then I'm filming with my hand, holding it. That's odd. Anyway, obviously I'm going to start out doing the topic number 1 of the midterm, which is comparing and contrasting the Nook of the North to Man with Movie Camera. So I'm just going to jump right in. Nook of the North by Flaherty starts out, in my opinion, with like an establishing shot that kind of goes off the narrative of man versus nature, which is cool and all, but then the entire film riffs off of this idea like over and over again, where every single part of the film just talks about man versus nature, and that's the entire thing. And the problem with that is that it's entirely Flaherty's narrative. He gives the Inuit culture like his idea of what it is by just, he has this establishing shot that gives off a theme, and then the entire movie is that. Because he constructs his subject very much in a way like he tells them what to do, and he films it his own way, and he puts like his own mansplain over it, and that's the film. And it doesn't give you an honest representation. You're not experiencing the culture, you're just hearing what he says about it. And I feel that Man with Movie Camera is very different, because he shows himself doing all the filming, which is very reflexive and just gives you an idea of what's going on, but he doesn't film his subjects in the same way. He doesn't just like give them something to do, he just kind of has them doing things, and then you really get to feel that you experience it more, and you get more of an honest representation of the culture, which I feel is really cool. One of the scenes, I have a notebook here so I keep looking down, one of the scenes in the Nook of the North that I think points this out the most is, I'm trying to think of which one I like the most. All of them really, but like the seal hunting scene, even the scenes to me that I don't know why, but they stuck out to me the most, was just where you just zoom in and stare at the person's face, much like you're doing right now. You just look at their face, that's it, for, who knows, like 10 seconds each person. I don't know where to look, my camera's right there, hi. I keep looking at my face, I'm gonna look at the camera. You just basically, like, stare at their faces for a really long period of time, and it's, to me, it felt like you're just supposed to view them as an object. You're not supposed to, like, look at anything else, you're supposed to look at their face and realize you're an object. And that bothers me. Whereas in Man with the Movie Camera, it just filmed them in a different way. Like, yes, you're looking at them, but you're looking at them as they are. You're not just having them sit there, because no one in real life does that. They don't just sit in front of there and let you watch them. They're doing stuff. And that's how Man with the Movie Camera was, and it's not how Nook of the North was. I just feel that between these two films, Man with the Movie Camera by Vertov was much more realistic and more real, and I felt like I got to see the Russian culture better than I did see the Inuit culture in the Nook of the North. So that's it for topic 1. We're going to move on to topic 2, so I'll be right back. Alright, not gonna lie, Chris, I don't remember Campbell Tours or Couple in the Cage as much as I did with the first two. Not sure why. I actually like Campbell Tours and Couple in the Cage more than I liked the first two, but I don't remember them. But I have my notebook here, which helps. So first off, Campbell Tours by O'Rourke. To me, it was, because okay, both the films talked about like tourists and how they look at Aboriginals or natives, but in my opinion, they did it in different ways. In Cannibal Tours, it followed the tourists, but it had a lot of the like natives' point of view in there as well via like cutaways. And one of them, I'm just gonna start with the scene from the movie. One of them it was talking to this guy and how he was like it's weird to be looked at, like why do they want to look at us? And as he was saying that, a tourist was following him, taking pictures of him. And that's just interesting. It's like, we're talking about how these tourists have invaded their culture, where these Aboriginals only exist so that the tourists can look at them. That's sad, that's weird. There's also another scene in the film where the woman was talking about how like the tourists expect them to make all these like homemade like traditional things like clothing or baskets or whatever, but then they don't buy them. So their culture, the natives' culture, is made to please the tourists, but then the tourists don't give anything back. They don't pay for any of this experience to the native population, which is just really sad. And basically, it just talks about how the tourists, like, they look at the natives as entertainment, basically. They look at them as like, oh, that's cool, that's unique, but that's kind of it. Whereas Couple in the Cage was still similar. Like, people would look at this, but they're so obsessed with the other that they don't realize what they're looking at isn't real. Because you find out after that, like, that they weren't really Aboriginals from this place that they were claiming to be from. They were professors who were doing like an art exhibit. And that's just crazy. People were so interested in looking at the other that they never actually got to experience what was really going on around them, which is insane. Because I feel that if people were connected to the world, or like they knew what was going on around them, they could have realized that it was a little too outrageous to be a thing. But then again, I didn't either. Watching the film, I didn't think anything of it. I mean, I think I was like, I've never heard of that place before, that's weird. But I still didn't connect the dots. And I feel like that's how everyone is. Like, they're so obsessed with looking at things that are unique or things that are different, they don't actually realize what's really happening. And I think this film was very much about that. Even like in the sense that they would let people pay them to expose their genitals. But why? Like, why? What does seeing an Aboriginal's genitals do for you? It doesn't do anything. These are weird films, and I'm still not super sure what they mean. Like, I'm just not sure what they mean. But as far as the process of looking, I feel that Cannibal Tours was very much like about how these tourists have invaded the natives' culture and made it all about just being there for the tourists to look at. This couple in the cage talked about how people look at something so much, but they never actually see what's really going on. They look at it and they look at it, and people were super interested in these two this couple in the cage are so interested, and they still couldn't tell what was actually going on. And I think, to me at least, that's what I took away from these films, but I guess there's a lot of different things. So that's it for topic number 2. I just said topic number 1 at the end, but I meant topic number 3 because I already did number 1. Peace out. Hi, Chris Freeman, me again. I have to look there. I'm getting better at this. Okay, so topic number 3 is comparing and contrasting Margaret Mead, multiple films, and Baraka. Tired. So with Margaret Mead, I feel that she gives a lot of narration. And this is like the way she describes things, because this topic is the practices of describing. She describes things very much with her own narrative, much like how earlier I talked about The Nook of the North and Flaherty. She kind of puts like a man spin on everything and gives like her idea of what's going on. She does that and she puts it in there. This is most obvious in when she's watching the 3 different mothers like bathing their children. She like tells you like about what's going on and like how each mother. She like basically explains to you how each mother raises their child and the difference between them. And that's not open-ended filmmaking at all. That's very much like, this is my narrative, here's what you need to think, go think it. And again, this is less authentic to me, just like how The Nook of the North was less authentic. This was very much, it's not open-ended, it's just, here's the culture, look at it, judge them. Whereas Baraka had very little, I don't think it had any like narration at all. I don't remember any. You just got to see things going on, like chickens being slaughtered, or the like traditional dances or like religious dances they were doing, and it was very much open-ended. There was no mansplain, there's nothing going on. You have to see everything and you have to feel it, which I felt was more real. Like you had to you felt like you were there. You felt like you were seeing what was going on in front of your eyes. Oh, why do I keep doing that? And it just creates a more authentic experience, because in Margaret Mead's film, you don't think for yourself. You're just told what to think. Move the camera. Whee! You're just told what to think by Margaret Mead. She's like, this is what you need to know. And films shouldn't do that. They just shouldn't. Because Baraka doesn't do that at all. It just doesn't. And that's the difference. Like, Margaret Mead's description works as describing her way of viewing culture, whereas Baraka's, its way of describing is, here's, like, you can look at what's going on, judge it for yourself. It's almost like it's describing more by not describing it at all. It's describing it purely by showing, where Margaret Mead is describing by telling you what's going on. And those are two very, very different things with the way we experience film. And there's just something to be said about being told what's happening and figuring out for yourself what's going on. Those are two completely different things. My friends just walked by. Anyway, So that's what I have for topic number 3, and I hope that you appreciate that. I probably could have worded it better, but I think it's good enough. So let's move on to topic number 4, and I'll see you in a bit. Topic number 4, remembering the ineffable. I don't know what that word means, but I'm sure I can figure it out. I probably should have Googled that before I started this. Anyway, it's a comparison of Night and Fog and Black Rain. Night and Fog, I felt like they both do a great job. Both films do a wonderful, wonderful job of making you really realize that these things actually happened. But they did it in different ways. Night and Fog shows you a bunch of scenes of the aftermath, and it often goes like a relatively long period of time with no narration or no dialogue whatsoever. As a result, you're like looking at the scenes and forcing yourself to picture how they got that way, and you picture what's like, you have to imagine yourself what happened in those scenes. And to me, it's very strong. It's a very strong message. It makes me realize oh wow, these things that I know they happened, but I didn't really imagine them actually happening until I watched this film. And that did a very good job of making me remember and realize this is a real thing that happened in the real world. Basically, it creates a sense of, I don't know if I'm using this word right, but it has phenomenology. It makes you realize this is actually a real thing people experience, and it doesn't quite, in my opinion, make me feel like I was there or anything, but it does a good job of getting to that, making you realize that people experienced what you're imagining. And I think just the very scenes of the aftermath are what did it for me. Black Rain was different. Black Rain focused on the aftermath as well, but it did it through storytelling and giving you a story of a woman who has radiation poisoning. And it's the same idea. All this stuff is going on. You're realizing not only that the bad event, the bombings happen, but you're realizing that it's not just the bombing, it's the culture that came up around the bombing that is really bad. You're not realizing a bomb went off. You're realizing a huge bomb went off that changed the shape, changed their entire culture, which in my opinion is even more devastating. And for me, I have just specific scenes that stick in my head. For me, in Black Rain, it was the man trying to destroy the tank. He attacks the Jeep because that guy has deep-rooted psychological problems because of what happened. And that's the first thing that made me really think about this bomb changed who they are as people. Not to mention the fact that obviously this girl, her entire life being shaped around the fact she has radiation poisoning, that's devastating. That's an entire family whose lives are just ruined because of what happened. And the film does a really good job through storytelling of making you remember and realize what was going on, and it makes you remember exactly what happened. And the thing about it, I believe this is where the ineffable word comes in, is these aren't things that you can just be told happened. You can't really get it if you're just told there was a bomb that dropped and killed this many people. And you can't get it when you're the Holocaust happened. So you don't understand it until you see these films, which is, I think, where the ineffable word comes in. Is the ineffable is not something that can just be talked away or explained away. It's something that must be felt. It has to be felt. And I think that's what these films get at, is making you feel what went on and the aftermath of it. And I think both these films do an excellent job of that. They both make you feel a lot of things. And to quote Freeman on this, if you don't feel something from these films, maybe you should talk to someone, because you're supposed to feel. So that's what I have for topic 4. I might do an extra credit piece, I might not. I'm running a little late on time. So if I do, I'll see you later. If I don't, I'll see you in class. And bye.